Let's move on to our next topic here, which is I was looking for a movie to review, and having just watched The Menu with Anya Taylor-Joy, it popped up on Apple Plus. A new movie that's come out called The Gorge, which is directed by Scott Derickson, who's also done The Black Phone and also had directed Doctor Strange back in 2016. So I figured let's give it a go. It's Miles Teller also co-starring along with Anya Taylor-Joy in this story. You might know Miles Teller from the Top Gun 2 movies. He was in SNL 50, actually just promoting Top Gun 2 as well. This story is a popcorn action thriller if there's ever been one. The Gorge, basically, the plot, very simply put, are two elite snipers are placed on the either side of a canyon, and they are given the mission to protect whatever the heck is coming out of the gorge. It is a very campy horror flick that, upon first glance, you'd say, I don't know if I want to watch this. This gives me remnants of horror movies that I have passed on because I am not one, and I've said this on the podcast before, but I'm not one to enjoy cheap jump scares or horror cliches or the character buildup of horror, because it very much is about how gross and how gory and how awful the visual can be, and less about the actual story. Here, in this film, surprisingly, I actually think they do a pretty good job keeping it light, right? The character development is not going to bowl you over, but the performances by Miles Teller and by Anya Taylor-Joy, they complement each other so well, realizing it's almost like they kind of realize what kind of film that they're in, so they keep it light on the surface. It's not anything that you're going to get embarrassed by watching. You can definitely watch this on a plane, right? Like there's, obviously a romance story in here, but it's nothing that's going to get you uncomfortable or anything like that. I say that as the shower scene comes up on the video version of the podcast. So it's not anything that's going to get you uncomfortable, but they do a good job. And then halfway through the movie, it really turns into, my best description of it is like The Last of Us or a Resident Evil like horror film. It goes from funny, like circumstantial comedy about two people that are completely secluded, trying to burn time and make anything out of this 1-year contract that they have, to essentially figuring out that something is dangerously wrong with this gorge and with this mission, right? It has End of Tomorrow vibes along with it. It's very beautifully shot. It's lit. It's really nicely composed for a horror film. It's not like you're afraid of the dark. There are some cheap jump thrills on this, but it is really brought to life just by the powerful performances of Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller. And it's a good watch, right? It's not anything that you're going to think about probably about 2, 3, or 4 weeks from watching this film, but it's something that kind of, if you're looking for a movie to watch, it's perfect for streaming services. It's not a straight to DVD movie. I've seen some criticism of like, this is specifically, a perfect suit for streaming services and all that kind of stuff. No, it's a good movie. It's just not something that's going to be Oscar worthy, but it's one of those films that I think you do in a career that just kind of fills the time. Must have been great to shoot, and you move on, right? That's the perfect way I feel like I can describe it, where it's just an average good movie, I believe Miles Teller was who plays opposite of Anya Taylor-Joy here, was talking about previously in Top Gun 2 about how you have to sometimes take roles. Like Tom Cruise was trying to mentor him in the past about sometimes you just take roles to gain the experience, to see different sets and stuff, and those roles will eventually snowball into something bigger and better. Not everything that you star in can be a cult indie or or a major summer blockbuster. This is one of those movies where the ridiculousness and the absurdness of the plot is gonna not it's not gonna be able to wedge into your mind as one of the all-time greats because of the plot is so absurd. But it's grounded by good acting and quick pacing that it makes it tolerable to watch. So I would recommend everybody kind of go in and check it out. There are moments where it's going to seem, I mentioned The Last of Us because The Last of Us was very, the video game as well as the TV series now, which stars Pedro Pascal, is grounded by a pretty good character development, right? But it's also contrasted within itself with some really, really crazy looking visuals of the clickers and stuff like that. This movie has a little bit of this, but it feels like it's budgeted. Like it feels like it's pulled back from the crazy production that Naughty Dog did in the first place and that HBO did later, that it feels like it's pulled back. So it is very much an absurd premise that has a little bit of Last of Us sprinkled in that will give you a surface level plot, but it is still a good watch and it keeps you on the edge of your toes. And honestly, enjoyed every second of it because it doesn't, before it gets boring, it just keeps you moving. It also stars Sigourney Weaver because, of course, if aliens are going to be there, Sigourney is going to be there. And she also plays one of the people who are putting on this mission. And it has a very kind of old World War II-y kind of plot to it. But I would suggest everyone go see it. It's a fun watch. It's nothing to write home about, but it's still a good piece of cinema that I feel like, again, is one of those roles that you just take in order to snowball into something bigger and better going forward. With that is The Gorge. We're going to take one last break, and we're going to talk a little bit about the automated balls and strike system happening within spring training right now when we get back from the break. See you soon.